now, I want to introduce Noah just real quick. You've won 5 scholarships as a student, right? You went to BYU and then you graduated from UVU, right? Which is like the reverse order, but that's the cool thing. It's a flex, man. You go from BYU to UVU, got your degree, won 5 scholarships. Career sales, you're over 8, right?
No, I'm at uh about 6.
What? I always get you and that's so funny because Q's almost at a mil, right?
Q is like a little over 900.
Yeah, right. And he's and Faith is at 1.7, and these guys are Quentin and Faith are at the company trip right now, Costa Rica. For various reasons, Noah's not there right now, but I want to just say to Noah publicly, thank you again. One of the things I love about Noah is that if asked, he's always willing to help the team. And it's such a great attribute of any successful person in life, right? Within his power, he's always willing to give of himself. He always delivers some amazing messages at our region conferences in the summer. We hope to have some of those this summer, but I know there's also some conflicts with the calendar for the first time ever, where a bunch of you guys are going to be in different events and things for the CSP world, which is awesome. You'll sell a ton of Cutco. But I will say Noah just delivers, and we're gonna continue such a great relationship. And again, he's helped the Southern Rockies team primarily in the last few years hit their biggest years ever. $1.4 million in the Southern Rockies team, and again, giving everyone in the company a run for their money. And Noah is just it's like a quiet. He's always there. He's a team member, and he just shows up, and he's got some great messages. So again, who's ever been in the situation where you're like, they own Cutco. Why the heck wouldn't they buy more? But you're like, but I don't know how to build this list. I don't know how to build the value in the same way, right? That I learned from and obviously Noah, you know this because you were a rep yourself, or you are a rep, obviously, but you were in initial training, you know the normal demo. We have a video or online version of the demo that you learned, obviously today, Noah. But it's the same demo essentially that it's been since the 1940, 49, right? And so, but how do you work with Cutco owners? Building the list, and then how to make the list, and then ask for the order, and then drop down. So I don't want to take any more time. I do need to bolt. So I'm gonna, leave the meeting and give it to. I will leave Ashley as the co-host, right? And you are a co-host already, Noah, but I'm gonna leave Ashley as the host. And then I will, if I have the ability, I'll jump right back on at 5, but I probably can't. So again, thank you all for being here, and have at it there, Noah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, happy to be here. Um, I also think that it's pretty awesome, those PR prizes. I mean, I wish I could have gotten an iPad when I started out, so that's pretty cool. Um, so my like Phil was saying, my message today is selling to Cutco owners and then closing a like list with those Cutco owners and dropping down if you need to. So, just to preface, like Phil talked about, I'm a full-time Cutco sales professional. I've sold about $600,000 in Cutco. Most of that has come in the last 2, 3 years. This is the third year, I should say. And most of what I sell is to Cutco owners. Cutco owners buy the most Cutco in most cases. So if you're one of those people sitting here listening, thinking like, Cutco owners, like they already have Cutco, how much more am I even going to sell them? You're not going to sell them much if you don't start thinking of them as like the best people to see, right? Why are they the best people to see? Well, first off, they already showed and proved to you that they are willing to spend their money on Cutco. Someone who's never bought Cutco before, most of the time they will buy, right? That's why we sell, 80, 90% of the time, maybe 100% of the time if you follow all your scripts and are good. You can sell to new customers, but Cutco owners already proved to you that they will spend money on Cutco. Okay. And they buy a lot of it. So there's a lot of different things. Let's say you run into Mrs. Jones, she has a homemaker set. There's a lot of Cutco that she can still buy. Okay. She can upgrade her knife set. She can buy gifts for kids, for weddings, for her business. She can buy pots and pans. She can buy the forks and spoons. She can buy replacement knives that went missing, right? She could buy a set for her RV or her camper. She could buy a set for her basement or a second home. She could buy knives just to travel with. I literally have clients who are like, yeah, I travel a lot for work, or when I go to hotels or Mexico or whatever, I just want some good knives to cook with, right? It's like I go to Hawaii every year, have a condo there. I just want to bring my knives there. They'll buy knives just to travel with, right? Or sometimes they'll just buy extras of their favorites. If Mrs. Jones already has a homemaker, but then bought all that other stuff and upgrade gifts, pots and pans, forks and spoons, other sets, she could easily spend over $10,000 with just you. Okay. There's a lot of potential. Think about if Mrs. Jones has a homemaker and you talk to her about buying gifts, and then she buys a homemaker for each one of her 5 kids. That's like $10,000 right there, right? Almost. Um, so there's actual reps in the business who have sold hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars just to Cutco owners. 2 examples are 2 of my favorite reps in all of Cutco. Mike Dowett, he's sold like $2.5 million in Cutco just through advertising on Facebook to his clients that have already bought from him in the last 4 years. In the last 4 years, he sold 2.5 million just to people who have already given him a credit card before. And that's all through social media. That doesn't include all the other clients that are buying from him at events or when he does, sharpening appointments or things like that, right? That's just through social media, 2.5 million, right? Crazy. Josh Mueller, he sends out catalogs every year to all his clients for Christmas and sends them like holiday emails and texts. He sells like $500,000 just to all his clients every year, right? Every single year he can just expect 500,000, right? So if you don't think that Cutco owners buy a lot of Cutco, you're wrong. Okay. Now, to jump into the meat and potatoes of the talk, right? The idea with a Cutco owner is you're wanting to show them stuff that they don't already own, right? Obviously, you can show them stuff that they do have, but the idea is to show them new stuff. Okay. So you're offering, solutions. Okay. So I usually start out my appointments with Cutco owners by giving them a reason to be interested, but then permission to say no at the end. Okay. So that just takes the pressure off the appointment, right? It's like give them a reason to listen to you, right? But then no pressure to buy. So how that sounds is I say, Mrs. Jones, just so you know, since you're a Cutco owner, which by the way, high five, you already have all 10 fingers, so that's good. Or you still have all 10 fingers, so that's good. But since you're a Cutco owner, I do have some exclusive deals and packages that I'm allowed to do while we're together, which is why most Cutco owners I see end up adding to their collection. Cutco owners are some of our best clients, Mrs. Jones. I mean, you can never have too much Cutco. Am I right? And then you laugh a little. And then after that, I say, no pressure to get anything either way. I get paid just to show it, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least tempt you. And then you smile and nod, right? Oh, it looks like my internet is a little unstable. If I need to repeat anything, let me know. Okay, but yeah, the big thing is giving her permission to listen to you, making her interested in listening to you, but then giving her permission to say no at the end, right? So it just takes the pressure off. And then always the smile and the head nod. If you're not smiling and head nodding, you're losing thousands and thousands of dollars in your paycheck. I close a lot of orders and have made, hundreds of thousands of dollars selling Cutco, mostly just from smiling and nodding. Okay. Um, all right. The next thing I'll say to a Cutco owner is what we can do while I'm here is build a wish list. So, Mrs. Jones, if Cutco were raining from the skies and you had a steel umbrella so you didn't get hurt, what would be the first things you grabbed? So, I have a pen and paper. If anything interests you or you could see yourself getting it in the next like 5 to 10 years, let me know and I'll write it down for you. Okay. So now you're kind of making it fun for her to just be able to tell you, like, oh, yeah, this stuff is what I could see myself getting. And I say 5 to 10 years because it also takes the pressure off. It's like, Mrs. Jones, you can tell me you like this and you could see yourself getting it in 10 years from now. It's not something you have to get today, right? So I say 5 to 10 years. And then I also make sure I keep the pen and paper. I'm not telling them to get a piece of paper and a pen. I'm not handing them a piece of paper and a pen if you're doing it in person, right? I'm keeping it because then I can stop and ask questions throughout the appointment, right? I can say things like, could you see yourself maybe using that one? Or is that something you think you would use? Or have you ever maybe thought about upgrading or replacing your current pots or pans? Right? So by me writing it down, if you just hand it to them, they're not going to write anything down. I guarantee it. Okay. And if they do write stuff down, it's going to be a few things, right? You're not going to make as much money as if you write it down and then you also stop and ask questions. Okay. The next key to selling a lot of Cutco to Cutco owners is showing every single package every single time. Okay. I sell Cutco full time. I sell a lot of Cutco full time. And a lot of the times I'm showing people that own Cutco and I'll show them pots and pans. They already own a homemaker. They didn't even know we sold pots and pans. How come? It's because new reps, they don't even talk about it, right? Pots and pans are, it's like 4 times the market of kitchen knives, right? So are you showing pots and pans? If you're not, why not? Right? You could be adding a lot to your paychecks and your CPO, right? Same thing with forks and spoons, same thing with giving her the idea of giving Cutco as a gift. Okay. So show every package every time. Okay. Talk about upgrading your knife set, giving gifts, pots and pans, forks and spoons. And then sets for like a basement, second home, camper, things like that. That's what I'm talking about every time. The next key I have is to be a problem solver, but also a problem finder. Okay. Mrs. Jones doesn't know the problems that she has until you're able to identify them for her. Okay. An example of that the 2 3/4 paring knife, right? I'm like, Mrs. Jones, if you're like a lot of my clients, you probably like this thing. Like, it's pretty handy, right? The biggest thing I heard though is sometimes it just feels a little too small. You can't really get through a whole apple or potato. Even if Mrs. Jones has never thought of that before, guess what she's thinking of now? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're kind of right. Like, that blade is really small. I can't really get through apple or potato. Okay. So, Mrs. Jones, that's why we came out with this knife. This is the 4-inch paring knife. You could see how this is like the perfect size for just normal everyday cooking, right? And then she's like, yeah, right? So I identified a problem that she can agree with. Maybe she didn't even know she had it, but then I'm also giving her a solution right away. Okay. Same thing with like the petite chef. or the French chef, right? It's like, and Mrs. Jones, chopping vegetables is one of the most popular, one of the most common things people do in the kitchen every single day. Now, sometimes this big chef knife feels like overkill. Like, I don't know if you picked it up to cut up a small tomato. Feels like you're gonna go butcher the pig instead of just chop up a tomato. So that's actually why we came out with this guy, the 5-inch Santoku. Feel how light that is. If you don't have a 5-inch Santoku, like try to get one. Oh, I my internet is unstable again. Okay, hopefully you heard all that. So yeah, if you don't have a 5-inch Sentoku, try to get one if you're doing in-person appointments, or just to use on your own. But yeah, I'm like, see how light this is? You could see how this would be the best knife for just everyday chopping, right? So Mrs. Jones, these are some of the customer requested pieces. Because let's be honest, how often are we actually butchering pigs or slicing bread or carving turkeys, right? That's why these customer requested pieces are meant to complement what you already own. Okay. Um, Another big key is in sales, the person who is asking the questions is normally the person in control of the conversation. And when I say normally, I mean always. Whoever is asking the questions is steering the conversation. Okay. So I'm usually the one asking the questions. So I got to find out some things about Mrs. Jones, right? And this helps you be able to find problems and offer the solution, right? So some of the questions I'm asking at the beginning of my appointments pretty early on is, so Mrs. Jones, how often is food being cut or prepared in the house? Okay. I like this question a lot better than how often are you cooking? The reason is because if you say how often are you cooking, it's like, well, I mean, I'm only cooking like once a week because that's, I just meal prep. Right? It's like, okay, sure. But are you eating apples? Are you, chopping up fresh vegetables for a snack? Are you cutting your sandwich? Are you, lots of different things. So even if someone thinks that they're only cooking once or twice a week, they're probably still cutting and preparing food every single day, or at least more often than 1 to 2 times a week, right? So, Mrs. Jones, how often is food being cut or prepared in the house? And then what types of food are you guys normally cooking, right? Get to know their cooking needs. If she's like, "Oh, I cook so much sourdough," right? Maybe she has a bread knife, maybe you can sell her a second one, right? Or maybe she cooks a lot of meat, so then oh, I should show her some of the meat and barbecue knives, right? I also like to ask, are there any dietary restrictions or any current diets you guys are on? Because if they're vegetarian, right, you can't show her the cleaver and say, this is going to be the best knife for cutting through all your bones and meats, right? You're not going to sell many cleavers to a vegetarian by explaining it like that. So ask about any dietary restrictions. So then when you're giving names and uses or examples, you can tailor it to the client, right? Another really good question is how many people are you generally cooking for on a daily or weekly basis? Right? Because if Mrs. Jones has a homemaker plus 8, but she has, 5 kids and her husband, 8 table knives is probably not enough, right? She's going to need more. Or if she's like, well, daily it's just me and my husband, but my kids come over for dinner every week with their spouses, right? So then there's like 12 of us. Yeah, then a homemaker plus 8's definitely not enough. Like how is she even getting by right now with just 8 table knives? Right? She's not. That's the point. You got to sell her more. Okay. So that's a really, really good question to ask. How many people are you generally cooking for on a daily or weekly basis? And then the last question that I really, really love is any kids, or do you have any kids that sometimes come over for dinner or special occasions? So that's one that I'm asking when it's just like a husband and wife, or they're a little bit older, maybe some of their kids moved out, right? You ask that question to, obviously you know that yes, they probably do come over, but you need to remind them that they're cooking for more than just two or three people, right? Maybe weekly they're cooking for 12. Okay. So remind them of that so that when it's time, you can say, here's the steak knives, here's more table knives. This is what that looks like, right? All right. Hopefully you guys are getting some really good notes. If you're not getting good notes, you're probably just not listening. So that's probably a problem. But I'm gonna finish up with this last part, closing and dropping down. So when I'm closing, this is after I've already walked through everything. So I've shown them all the different packages. I've given them ideas of giving gifts to their kids, um, getting a second set for a basement or a second home or whatever, right? This is after I've already shown everything, asked questions, written down their whole wish list. What I'll say is, well, Mrs. Jones, it looks like you have a pretty good wish list. Now, like I said at the start, no pressure to buy anything at all, but a lot of my clients like to know what their wish list is worth. If you went ahead and got everything on your wish list, it would cost X, Y, and Z. So I'll just tell them what the cost of their wish list is. Okay. Just the full retail value. Okay. Now, even sometimes you can, the homemaker is worth over $1,900. The pack or the discounted price is 1664. When I'm telling them the cost of their wish list, I'm telling them the full retail value, right? So I'm even telling them the $1,900 cost, right? So let's say they had a homemaker and 5 knives on their wish list. I'm telling them it's, $2,500 or whatever the cost is, right? But then after I tell them the price, I follow it up with, just for fun, do you want to see what it would cost if you got it today? And then you smile and nod, right? Smile and nod. If they say yes, which a lot of times, just because you said just for fun, or, just for fun, you're piquing their curiosity. Like, yeah, how much would it cost if I got it today? Right? A lot of times they'll say yes. If they say yes, if you got your wish list today, Mrs. Jones, normally it would cost X, Y, and Z, like I said, $4,500, whatever it is. But because I'm in a big contest right now, or because I'm trying to win a scholarship, or because I'm trying to, give some reason for why you're about to give them a deal, because I'm trying to be the number one rep in my office, um, I could buy you the butcher knife, or I could buy you 3 gadgets for free. Or usually I'll buy them something on their wish list and say, so what I could do, I could buy you X, Y, and Z. So your total would only be, and then I give them the new price, right? So your total would only be, if it was 4,500 at the beginning, maybe now it's, 3,500 or whatever. 3,700, doesn't matter. Your new total would only be 3,500 or 700 per month for 5 months without any interest. That's one of the best parts about being here with me today, is that we can actually split it up for you. Right? That's another thing. If you guys don't know this, if someone goes to buy Cutco online, they can't do the 5 pay. That's one of the reasons that people love buying Cutco from people like you guys, right? Because if they buy it from you, they can actually split it up. No interest. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so that's what I say. Um, I think I only have a few more minutes. The next thing I'll do, if they say no. So if they say no, just for fun, want to see what it would cost if you got it today, and they say no, no worries, right? That's my first thing. No worries, Mrs. Jones. Now, if they say no, you probably saw this coming. right? You have to ask either way if they want to see it. If they say no, you might have seen it coming. If they say no, I'm pivoting to their favorite thing, right? If you don't know what their favorite thing is, I'm helping them narrow it down. So like if they had an upgrade, they were getting like a bigger block, bunch of gifts for their kids, pots and pans, right? And I don't know what their favorite thing is of those three things. I'm saying for the next time that you do add Cutco to your collection, what would be at the top of the wish list? Would it be upgrading your knife set? Would it be getting the gifts? Or do you think it would be the pots and pans? And then whatever they tell me, or once I get, their wish list a little bit smaller, I'm doing the same thing that I did when someone says that they're okay to look at, whatever the price is. So they say, yeah, no, my next thing would just to be to get gifts for my kids. Okay, Mrs. Jones. So you said like you'd probably get them the homemaker set. Okay, and it'd be 10 of those. Okay, awesome. So normally that would be 19,000 whatever, right? Um Now, just for fun, want to see what it would look like if you got that today? And then if they say yes to that, awesome, right? Go into dropping down. Um, and then if they say no, then keep dropping down, dropping down, dropping down until you get to something that they're comfortable spending, right? If someone says that's way too much, you can help them narrow it down, right? If they say, I'm showing them an upgrade to their knife set and it's $3,000, and they're like, that's way too much. That's way more than we were wanting to spend today. Am I just gonna say, okay, yeah, no worries. Well, it was nice meeting you, Mrs. Jones. Have a good day, and then leaving, right? Obviously not. That'd be crazy. I'm gonna help them narrow it down by asking them more questions. So what I'm asking is, um, if you really wanted to, Mrs. Jones, could you live without, could you live without an extra bread knife and those two extra forks? Oh, okay, awesome. Well, if we took those out, you'd just be getting 7 knives plus a new block. Normally that would be X, Y, and Z. I could do it for X, Y, and Z or WXY, whatever it is. Right? Oh, so Mrs. Jones, like I totally get it. $3,000 for forks and spoons is a lot. If you really wanted to, could you live without those 6 serving pieces? Oh, okay, awesome. Well, if you took out those 6 serving pieces, instead of being XYZ, I could do it for XYZ, right? And if you did that and divided it over 5 months, it would only be blank today. Okay, so if you didn't get any notes, but these next 3 things I'm about to tell you, this is the most important part of the entire message. Number one, when someone says no, no worries, Mrs. Jones, and just keep smiling. No worries. I've been told no more times than you've, I don't even know. I've been told no so many times, way more times than I've been told yes. Probably 10 times more than I've been told yes. I've been told no, right? They're not saying no to you. They're not saying no to Cutco. They're just saying no to whatever you're showing them in the moment, right? So no worries, keep smiling, and then keep going. The next key is to have a plan, right? So have a plan of what you're going to show and in what order, and then have a plan of if someone says no, how you're going to help them narrow it down, right? So it's like if someone says no to a $3,000 upgrade that I always show everybody and everybody loves it, so everyone has it on their wish list, I'm not going to just one knife because I panicked. I'm going to help them take off like 2 or 3 knives. Usually it's just the same 2 or 3 for everybody. And that's what I do for everyone. That's my plan. If they say no to that, I'm getting them 5 knives in a block. If they say no to that, I'm getting 5 knives in a tray. If they say no to that, I'm doing 3 knives in a tray. Right? If they say no to that, 2 knives, 1 knife, right? I have a plan. I'm not panicking, right? And then the last one, the last key, number 3, is keep dropping down until they say yes. Keep dropping down until they say yes. And then once they say yes and you get the credit card, start building up again. Okay. The first yes is the hardest yes to get. Once someone has already mentally committed to giving you money, it's a lot easier for them to commit to giving you more money. Okay. So what that means is Mrs. Jones says yes to getting 5 knives and a knife block. That's going to cost her, $1,200, let's say. Right. Then I'm saying, oh, Mrs. Jones, and I have her credit card, right? Like, oh, and Mrs. Jones, just so you know, because you already are getting blank, if you went ahead and added on the forks and spoons today, I could actually do it for XYZ. Right. It is also good to ask a permission question there. So like, hey, Mrs. Jones, just for fun, because you're getting this today, do you want to see what it would look like if you added this on? You can totally tell me no, right? Then if they say yes, cool. Well, since you're getting the 5 knives in the block, if you went ahead and added on the forks and spoons, I could actually buy you 3 of the knives that you're getting, or 2, whatever. You can make it up, right? But just because they said yes doesn't mean you stop. The sale's not over. That's when the sale starts. Okay. So hopefully this helps you guys sell a ton of Cutco to Cutco owners and actually get excited when you meet a Cutco owner, because meeting a Cutco owner, you can usually sell just as much, if not more, to them than you can to a new customer. So that's all I had for you guys. Hopefully you got some goods and are able to crush it. Oh, and then also I'll give you guys my phone number in the chat. If anyone wants um, any help or has any questions or anything like that, feel free to text me. And I can usually get back to everyone within 24 hours. So hope that helps. Ashley, since you're in charge, do you know what's next?
Yeah,
Like,
sorry. I do know that it was being recorded, so I'm gonna stop the recording really quickly. Okay.